Hey, yeah. So this is a quick video on keyboard shortcuts, because keyboard shortcuts are one of those things that, while they don't necessarily make you better at remote working, they do make you a million times more effective. And there's quite a lot of people I bump into who don't know really about keyboard shortcuts or use them much. So most of us use Chrome, and there's some keyboard shortcuts I think a lot of folks do know. So Command T, which opens a new tab, and then we can just start typing the URL in. But one of the things that a lot of people don't know is you can close a tab or a window with Command. You can close them with Command W. So if I do Command W now it will close that tab, and I can keep Command Wing until I close eventually this window. If I want to reopen that tab, I can do Command Shift T, and I get back the tab I just closed, which is super useful if you accidentally close down a tag. The other thing that I can do, if I've gone to a website and navigated somewhere, is navigate backwards and forwards using Command and the square brackets on the keyboard. So if I want to go back one, I can do Command left square bracket and it will take us back, and Command right square bracket will take us forward. And that's particularly useful because those keyboard shortcuts, so like Command T, Command W, Command bracket to go back and bracket to go forward, work in a lot of different apps, not just Chrome. They work in a lot of Mac apps like Finder, but they also work in things like Slack. So they're kind of fairly generic ones. And you can generally find those keyboard shortcuts by having a look in the menus. So like switching to previous tabs and stuff. These are the keyboard shortcuts here. So this is like Option Shift Tab. If we want to go and have a look at reopen close tab, Shift Command T. And it's kind of useful, like looking these things up, because things you do a lot with a mouse, it's kind of slow. And so even just knowing 2 or 3 keyboard shortcuts, those ones I've described are the ones I use 90% of the time. And there's a lot in Slack as well. So if we open up Slack, I actually don't know a lot of Slack keyboard shortcuts, but I do have like a lot of channels and people in the left here. And scrolling up and down here is a bit of a nightmare. So when I want to go and message somebody, I use the quick switcher. So I hit Command T, which opens this quick switcher, and I can start typing in, like, I don't know, Agnes, and I can jump straight into a call with Agnes, or straight into a Slack message in direct messaging. If I'm looking for a channel like All School, I can just start typing, hit enter, and it will load me into that channel. So again, that's like a super quick way of opening new things with Slack. And I use that all the time. It's probably the one Slack shortcut I use hundreds of times a day. There's millions more, and if you want to see them, you can hit Command / and it will open up all of these keyboard shortcuts. Now, I don't know these. I maybe use a couple of them. I use one for bullet points sometimes, but the point is, if there's a thing that you do regularly and you find yourself doing it with a mouse hundreds of times a day, like for me, going to a new channel, I want to know. I want to know, like, how do I do this quicker? Because the number of seconds I'm going to save over the next 3 years of my life by saving half a second every time I do that is significant. So if you're not a keyboard shortcut user, I definitely encourage you to go and look for the things you do repeatedly. And if there is a keyboard shortcut, dedicate 15 minutes of time to just learning what that is, and using it repeatedly. And then when you've learned one, you can move on to the rest. I feel like quite a lot of folks think this is like a techie developer-y thing to know keyboard shortcuts. And my view is that for all of us, computers are our tools that we use. And so we don't need to know every single possible thing about the computer, but we do need to know how to do the things we do regularly with this tool. And since Slack is a tool I spend a lot of time in, I want to know 2 or 3 Slack shortcuts. So anyway, there we are. Keyboard shortcuts are pretty good, and particularly in Slack, I'd encourage you to go and have a look and see if you can find any that will help you.